With automation and systemization becoming such a great big fad right now, don't you think it would be helpful if you could tap into that and utilize that in your property business? Well, that's what we're going to be covering in this video. Good day guys, Samuel Akenwin here, and in this video we're going to be talking about technology. Effectively, we're going to be talking about the best apps that are out there right now in order to use in property. Now, I'm not going to go through an exhaustive list because quite frankly, there's no need. And also in property, we've got people doing so many different things, whether it's development, whether it's buy-to-let, whether it's HMOs, etc., that actually making an exhaustive list wouldn't work for everybody. But the tools we're actually going to speak about today are tools that every single person, no matter what you're doing in property, can actually utilize and leverage to their advantage. So without further ado, let's go. Actually, let me just stop and say this. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, why not consider hitting the subscribe button right now, or even press like if you're already getting value from the video, and side by side with that, why don't you just hit the bell notification so you can stay up to date with all the information and videos that we put out as and when they come out. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. A number of years ago, I worked with a specific property coach, and one of the things the coach said to me, which at the time I thought was really kind of weird but funny at the same time, was you can do all your property business by just using Excel. Now, the funniest thing is this particular coach was a little bit older than me, so in my mind I thought Excel, and I'm quite familiar with Excel, so I know that Excel can do a whole bunch of things. Microsoft Excel is what we're talking about here. But I thought to myself that there's more to actually using automation than just using Excel. And I remember at the time I was in conversation with a few other people in the property space talking about how I can start to systemize my business. And the coach was basically saying to me, don't focus on systemizing your business. There's no point on systemizing something which doesn't exist. And this is the case for many people, which is why I want to start by sharing with you this particular point. There are many people in the property space who do not yet have a business, but yet are going out of their way, striving and spending time on trying to systemize. But without further ado, as we go into these particular apps, which I think are great assets to use in your property business, I want you to start from a place of understanding that if you have not acquired any properties, if you have not got any properties under control, then systemizing to the nth term is not necessarily going to be extremely helpful for you. This video is not paid promotion. There is no affiliation between me and any of the apps we're going to be speaking about. I just want to share these apps with you in order for you to be able to get massive value out of using them on your property journey. So the first app we're going to be talking about is Google Keep. Now, the reason why Google Keep is such a great asset, and I found in my property journey, is Google Keep is effectively an online notepad. It actually works on both Android as well as Apple systems, and at the same time you can have an online version also, so you can tap into it from any computer that you may have internet access. Now, the reason why this is really important is because it syncs across multiple platforms. Now, I'm going to put my hands up and say this really truly. I've had syncing issues in the past with this particular app, and when you have syncing issues, I can assure you it is not nice. And the reason it's not nice is because, to be totally honest with you, if you've got one particular version which might be your most up-to-date version, and then you've got another version which is like an older version, and the older version takes over the most up-to-date version, well, you know what that's going to end up doing. It's going to end up seriously annoying you. So anyway, without further ado, Google Keep is the first app, and the reason why it's the first app is because it allows you to take notes. Now, it allows you to take notes quite natively in lots of different formats, and one of the great things is you can then convert those notes into Google Sheets, so they actually become Word documents fairly quickly. Also, you have the checklist feature, which is the feature that I think I use the most, where you can just create a list instantly, like a list of your best videos. Have you hit subscribe yet? So, for example, using Google Keep allows you to stay very, very organized and on top of things. Now, I use Google Keep for so many things. I use Google Keeps for taking notes when I go to property seminars, and even when I'm coaching other people. And at the same time, besides Google Keep being used for its great note-taking abilities, I also like the fact that it's very integratable with Google Drive and all the other features. Now, again, again, you might use Evernote or one of those other online note-taking softwares, but one of the things I really like about Google Keep, which is similar to the others, is the fact that you can actually store photos as well. So you can actually take a photo, take an image, and place it inside of a specific note so you don't lose that image with that note. So this becomes really handy when you've got things like floor plans that you want to associate with your due diligence notes that you've taken on a particular property. So the first app that we wanted to discuss is Google Keep. Now, side by side with Google Keep, I want to actually also talk about another app. Now, this app is very, very helpful because it's actually an action taking app, and I'm all for action taking. This particular app is known as AnyDo, and I actually heard about this app from a person who's actually all the way on the other side of the world in Australasia. And basically this person said to me that this app would be extremely helpful to help you get stuff done. So what I then did is I started using this app side by side with Google Keep, and started finding that if I had a list of things to do and I put it inside of AnyDo, I'd be in a position where I could actually start to track my progress. I can see what I was getting done in the day, what I wasn't getting done in the day. So a secondary app, and it is effectively the second app in this lineup, but the next app for you is AnyDo. Now, AnyDo has a bunch of great features, some of which you'll see right here, and it allows you to basically utilize this app as a tracking app to look at your habits. Are you getting stuff done when you say you're going to get them done, or are you not getting stuff done? Which is a big problem for a lot of people, especially when they start out in property. So the second app is AnyDo. Now, the third app is probably an app you probably never even would have thought would have made this lineup, but I'm going to share with you a little story to help you understand how the third app actually came into this lineup. Now, some time ago, I worked with an apprentice who basically was interested in learning more about property and finding out how they could do the kind of things I was doing. How did I construct marketing campaigns? How did I convert that into opportunities? And how did I actually close that into property deals? Whilst this apprentice was with me, I remember we had a 4-day stretch together, and on one of the last days, the apprentice was looking over my shoulder whilst I was on my phone. And I remember thinking, what's he looking at? And I gave him a look like, you know, what are you looking at? And he said to me, he said, is that how you manage your tenants? And I remember when he said that to me, it really kind of dawned on me that I was managing my tenants through and from an app, and it was that simple. And I turned to this apprentice and I said to him, yeah, that's how I manage my tenants. And I remember him saying to me, well, it's funny because all week, all I've seen you do in terms of your engagement with tenants is use that app. Because of that, the third app that we actually wanted to share with you is WhatsApp. And guys, most people use WhatsApp. Most people have WhatsApp right at the tip of their fingers. Most people have WhatsApp inside of their phone already. Now, obviously, we all know that Facebook has recently bought WhatsApp, but nonetheless, the app WhatsApp, which used to be the app that was trying to keep us all safe, now owned by the company that probably doesn't want to keep us all safe, but that's a conversation for another time. But the app WhatsApp is the app which I basically use to manage my tenants. And the way I do that in HMO specifically is I put every single one of those tenants, as well as whoever needs to be, in a WhatsApp group. And by everybody being in that group, that makes things really, really simple, because what then generally happens is if somebody flags a particular issue, other people can track the issue, find out what's going on with the issue, and we can get things resolved. We have a clear log of images, messages, videos, links that are all passed inside of the group, and it just makes things really, really simple. So the third app that I want to share with you guys is actually WhatsApp. Now, to take things to another level, let me give you a bit more value with this app WhatsApp. Now, one of the things that really surprised me is when I come across people who did not know that there's actually an online version of WhatsApp that can be used, and that is quite simply called WhatsApp Web, or the website is known as web.whatsapp. Now, the good thing about WhatsApp Web is WhatsApp Web allows you to take your conversations, your groups off the phone and onto your desktop. And this is actually a really great feature, because now you can engage with resources and assets that you actually have on your computer, whether it be images, links, etc., and engage with those through means of your groups and also through means of your chats. Now, WhatsApp Web is a bit of added value, so it's not number 4, but for number 3, it's WhatsApp, and for a bit of added value, it's WhatsApp Web. Now, in order for us to share about the last couple of apps, what I want to do is share with you a little bit of insight. And the reason I want to share with you this insight is because as a host of a networking event, I meet hundreds of people every single month, and generally they tell me the same stuff. I don't like paying tax. Now, I'm not one of those people, and I'm going to be very, very transparent with you. And the reason why is because I'm a real avid believer and reader of the Bible. Now, in the Bible, there's a beautiful verse, and it basically says, give unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. And what that basically means is, if the money that you are working with has a picture of a queen or a king on it, then that queen or the king owns that money. So if they own that money, give them their money. So when it comes to tax, I'm one of those people who think we should pay tax, and I think you should pay tax appropriately. So the reason why this app actually comes in is because it's extremely necessary, especially when you're in property, to be able to calculate accurately the tax associated with the acquisition of property. So this particular app is the stamp duty calculator. Now, the stamp duty calculator I found to be extremely helpful, especially when I'm sitting down doing some quick due diligence on property deals. If I have a particular seller calling me and telling me I want to sell my property for this particular price, the stamp duty calculator allows me to very quickly find out how much tax would I be paying just to acquire that property, let alone the additional fees I might be paying. So personally, I think it's imperative to be able to actually calculate what kind of stamp duty you're going to be paying if you're buying a property, because it becomes a fundamental figure. Now, the thing that's actually funny about this is a couple of years ago, there was actually talk of stamp duty changes, and as of last year, there have been stamp duty changes. So the point is, with the stamp duty changes that have taken place, it's even more important to understand and get your finger on the button when you want to go and buy a property. App number 4 is the stamp duty calculator. Now, for app number 5, this app comes in also as a calculator, is the mortgage calculator. Now, the reason this app is extremely helpful is because, again, similar to the stamp duty calculator, it allows you to start looking at figures when you're looking at potentially buying a property. Now, for most people, if they are not comfortable with numbers, calculating the figures on a property becomes very, very tedious. And this is the reason we wanted to actually do this video, so we can give you a quick list of apps you could use to basically circumvent the whole time it takes in order to start doing due diligence quite quickly, or even managing the tenants if that's part of your process. But the key is using something like a mortgage calculator allows you to very quickly estimate or even accurately work out what kind of deposit you need to pay, what kind of mortgage you're going to take out, how much that's going to cost you each month, and the kind of interest rate that is usually associated. Now, the mortgage calculator is a fundamental app which I think is really helpful, and I would advise every single person in the property industry to make sure they've got one of these on their phone. Now, that brings us to the end of this video. If you found value in this video, like I've said already, feel free to press like. Side by side with that, why not hit the subscribe button and also hit that bell notification so you can stay up to date with every single video we drop. Now, these 5 apps that we've shared today are for you to get even more value in your property business and along your property journey. What I'd love for you to do is actually write in the comments what kind of property apps are you presently using, and how do you actually find them to give you value in your property journey. Now, if you're interested in learning more about why some people are rich and why other people are poor as it pertains to property, then feel free to go watch this video right here, where I'm going to elaborate on exactly that. This is Samuel I Can Win. I'm signing out. Have a great day.